Yeah, I hope you are able to see my screen now.
Yes.
Yeah, so in today's session, we'll be going through the identification and reconciliation rules and why identification and reconciliation rules are important. So for every class in CMDB, ServiceNow already provides the predefined identification and reconciliation rules. And also, if you want, you can modify them as well, the existing rules. But in the first place, why do we require the identifier rules? Yeah. So when you're using discovery, especially when you're doing discovery or any other integration or any other import, identification rule plays a crucial role because it checks whether the record which you are trying to discover or the record which you are trying to import into the CMDB already exists in the CMDB or not. If it already exists, that with the help of identification rules, the import or the discovery will not try to insert the record into the CMDB. It will try to update the existing record. And if the record doesn't match in the CMDB, it will create the new record. Will so we'll go to the hardware rule. We have two primary. This hardware rule is this will be applicable for all the classes underneath which comes underneath this hardware table. So whatever are the child class for this hardware, everything for all the classes, this hardware rule is applicable. And if you look here in the hardware rule, we have they have given over like nine identifier rules. And if you look the same in the CI class manager, it will also be the same. So these are defined over under the hardware rule. See if you see here, okay. And whatever comes under this hardware table, everything will for all the classes, the same hardware rule will be applicable. But in case if you want to customize for each different class, suppose uh, Windows Server class or server class or ESX server class or server class also extends this hardware table. So the same hardware rule is also applicable for those classes as well. But in your organization, if you want to do certain customization for any specific class, you can go ahead to that particular class and you can do modifications here. First, suppose I showed you here the hardware rule, right? And let me check if yeah, you don't have anything specific for the Windows Server class here, but you can create the yeah, identification rule for the Windows class specifically. Wait. See here, if you see here for the Windows Server also, then the identification is rule defined as a hardware rule. But if you don't want this rule to for this Windows Server and you want to create a new rule, you can replace it, okay. And but you want the existing rule only to work, but you want to add the extra identifier, you can add that as well. You can keep them as is and you can here you can modify the changes. Here you can add the new class and you can apply on Windows Server. 1 minute, let me will check what are the. Yeah, see here. Here we have this table, right? Likewise, we can do the new one as well. But why it is not coming? Okay, because it is parent child table, I think that is why it is not showing the Windows Server table here. Yeah, that is it. That is why it is not showing here. But whatever apart from apart from Windows Server, if you want to do any if you want to search on any other table, you can click on the new identifier and you can give the table name and you can set up the configuration related to that.
So the default rule what is present in the system, is it applicable only to the CMDB CI hardware table and it's not applicable to the child tables of it?
No, no, no. That's what I'm trying to say. This hardware rule is applicable to all the child tables, which is which extends this CMDB CI hardware table.
CI hardware. Okay. So is it always better to create it on the specific tables or it should be created on the parent table?
Depends actually. Depends on the requirement actually. If we
Mhm.
because it is a parent table, if you are only looking for the Windows Server, basically we would be creating on the hardware table only. In the real time scenario, I'm telling. Whatever the
Mhm.
customizations, at least I have done, we have done on the CMDB hardware only. Okay.
Okay.
Because mostly we are dealing with the servers only, right? It comes with the same parameter, same amount of data, so it is good to have on the parent class, so it extends for all the child classes. Instead of, suppose assume that you are doing some customization on the Windows Server on tomorrow, again on tomorrow if you want the same thing on the Linux or the ESX servers, you have to do customization for the other, again on the specific class. Instead of doing that, if you have to do it on the parent class, it would be it would come for all the child tables, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So here for the hardware rule is the parent rule for all the tables and most in and also for the server related things, Sunil. For server or the Windows server or the Linux server, these are the primary attributes, actually primary identifiers, which is already defined here in the hardware rule. If you open this hardware rule.
Mhm.
Yeah, serial number. Serial number is the primary thing.
Okay.
This product instance ID, most of the organizations don't use. I don't, at least I have not seen till now. This product instance ID, you can, if you don't want, you can mark them as false. And this serial number type, they are checking in the serial number table if you see here. And again, a serial number type and serial number they are checking in the serial number table. And then the serial number alone, they are checking in the serial number hardware table. Again, name and the MAC address and name, they are checking in the network adapter table. Yeah, likewise, they are checking and they also
Mhm.
give the priority,
So when we
which rule
say
to run in the first place and then what.
so when we select only the true the active true ones are applied, right?
Yes, yes, yeah.
So now when it evaluates a whole criteria on all the tables, right? Does it work as a or a two condition or a and condition? Like everything should be satisfied, only then we will select the unique hardware, unique record or something.
No, first it will check for the serial number and the serial number and serial number type in the serial number table.
Okay.
Okay, assume that there is a record found.
Okay.
Okay, assume that there is no record found in the serial number and serial number type. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it checks for the serial number in the hardware table.
Okay.
Assume again there is no record found. So likewise, it checks for all the things, Sunil.
Okay.
Until
So
true here we have.
if it finds in the first instance, like if it find in that hardware CMDPCI hardware, it's checking the product instance ID. If it is
Mm.
fine, if it finds a record there, does it update or does it
Yeah,
just
it
leave
will
it?
update it. It will update
It
it.
will update. So
If
the
if
first
there is
match.
no if there is no record found, it will check for all the things. If the record is found in the
Okay.
first place, it will update it.
So I mean, if it goes through all the active true identifiers, and if it's not
Mm-hmm.
able to find any records, a unique record
Mm.
with that combination, then it creates a record, right?
Yes, 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 yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So let me show you this. Yeah, here. So yeah, see here. Yeah. So I have got this templates from the ServiceNow itself. So ServiceNow Discovery is trying to do this particular server as a discovery. And through identification rules, the server name, serial number, operating system, and RAM. The server name and serial number, there is no match with the server name and serial number. That is why they have written as no match. They have inserted the record. So now
Okay.
there is a record with this serial number and the server name, right? And again, if you are trying to import the data with the if you are trying to discover the same data, there will be a match with the serial number, right? Because we are checking serial number first, so it will update the RAM because the RAM details is differed from here and here. They are trying to update the RAM here,
Correct.
so it will update the RAM instead of inserting the record.
Okay.
And here again, they are trying to change the name in the third attempt. With the serial number, again, there will be a match that it will update the name here.
But in the second one, the even the
Mm-hmm.
discovery. Okay. So okay, that's a discovery source, is it?
Yeah, discovery
Okay. Okay.
source.
Correct.
So in reconciliation rules, actually, we will modify this thing. Okay.
Okay.
So is it clear now, or if you want me to repeat again, I can go ahead.
No, I think the identifier. So a discovery source comes only in the reconciliation part, right?
Yes, yes, yeah, exactly.
Okay. Sure. So this is fine now. So in
Yeah,
general, what is the best way, I mean, best practice to have a good identifier?
best in the sense in what
In
a
sense,
fresher
what are the
asking.
fields? What so from your implementation experience, what are the
Mhm.
things that the customer wants to be implemented as a good identifier? Like what are the fields that I should use? Serial number, IP address is something. Apart from that, is there any other fields that we ideally should use it?
Yeah, mostly for the servers, we use only this things, Sunil. But where we used to do the database discovery also, like MS SQL, MySQL instance. Over there, we have put port numbers as the unique identifiers, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. See, because why serial number is unique? Because for even if you look here in the hardware rule, IP address is also they have not put as the identifier rules. because the IP address might also be getting changed sometimes. If you have the virtual IP, they might be switching on the server and they might be switching off the server for temporary use. In such cases, what happens is like the IP address might be getting changed. And also for the net in the network devices, IP routers and switches, there is a more possibility the switching of IP address is very common in the network devices area. They will be having primary switch, they will be having the secondary switch. So for the secondary switch, they will not be updating the IP address, so it will be little difficult. I think that is the reason they have not put the IP address also in the identifier rules.
Okay.
Since the serial number is something very unique, they have put the serial number here.
Okay. Got it.
From my experience, what I'll tell is like even the what we say, even the name is also not a good identifier for the identification and reconciliation rules.
So during the implementation, have you come
Mm-hmm.
across or do you come across any shared IP addresses? Because shared host usually share the IP address also, right? So then serial number also doesn't qualify as a proper identifier, a unique identifier.
No, you are saying shared IP address, right?
Correct, correct.
See, shared IP address also I don't see, and because they might be switching from one server to another server, so IP address will be unique, but it would be different for assume that for one server, for Linux server 1, 10.1.10.1 is the IP address today. Assume that it
Mhm.
is a virtual server and they have assigned this IP address to this particular server today. But after the use of this server, they have decommissioned it. Okay. Again, they have created another server, Linux server 2. They will be assigning this IP address to this one, like this. This server is decommissioned. This IP address is in use. They can use they can reuse this IP address. So that is why they will be assigning this IP address to another virtual server. But now, if you discover this particular server, it will be this server will get discovered, not this server, because it is already decommissioned.
Decommission.
But when the server is
Correct.
active and alive, they cannot assign this IP address to another active server.
Somewhere I read about some shared hosts wherein they usually have same IP address also using two different applications, but the same shared host with the same IP address. I'm not sure how it works. Just curious to understand. I think we can drop off that.
Okay,
That's
okay.
not an important topic.
Yeah, because yeah, even we also sit with the networking team and the server team for hours to resolve the discovery issues and the CMDB issues. Like even
Okay.
this networking part and the server part, I have to learn from the server and the networking team itself.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, even I got initially in my early career, I was like confused why the same IP address is being assigned to two different servers. Even though it is decommissioned, you will get confused, right? Even if it is getting
Correct.
decommissioned, how and why you can assign why and how you will be assigning the same IP address to different server.
Correct. Correct.
So that this is what the solution. This is what the answer I got from the networking team, that because this server is decommissioned and this IP address is free to use, they can use this IP address to any server which is active.
Sure. Got it. Got it.
But this shared IP address, even I have to check, Sunil.
Okay. No problem. You can check it later on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, see here, without the serial number, they have inserted the record through another discovery source. Okay. Now through the ServiceNow discovery source, there is a serial number found with the serial number found. And once the serial number, it is a unique thing, right? In the serial number, it will check for the serial number. Once the serial number is unique, it will check for the, with the name attribute, there is any information found in the CMDB or not. With the name attribute, there is a already record found. So what it will do is like, because the record is already found, it will update the serial number. It will update the RAM. Is this example clear to you?
Can we go through it again? Because see here, I think the name, update, serial number, and the RAM. RAM has changed from the last example. We have seen that RAM has changed. Serial number. Can we go back to the previous screenshot?
Yeah. So what we are doing is
Yes.
like, for the hardware rule, we are checking for the serial number first.
Correct. But ideally, what about the top? I just want to understand the serial number table. That is also on hardware. Okay. So is it on
Yeah, it
the
is a serial number table. Here also it will check
okay,
for the serial number and serial number type. It will check for the,
correct.
even in here also. The record is in the first place, the Altris record is inserted, Sunil, without the serial number. Okay.
Mhm.
When you are doing the when you are doing ServiceNow discovery on the same server, it will check for the serial number and the serial number type.
Correct.
But there is no information of the serial number on the CMDB. Okay.
Correct. 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 It
It will check
inserts.
for it will check on the hardware table for the same serial number, and still there is no serial number found.
No, serial.
It will check for the third one, which is name. But with the name, there is an information available on the CMDB.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
So what it will do, it will update all other records, all
Correct.
other attribute information as well.
Correct. Got it.
Now another again, what they're trying to do with the same serial number they have given, but again they are trying to change the RAM because the serial number is already available in the first attempt itself. It will find the serial number and it will update the existing record.
Correct. Now it's clear.
It's clear.
Yeah, it's clear now.
Yeah, everybody else, it's clear or yeah, if no questions, yeah. So yeah, we have implemented the identification rules. So why identification rules are required? So these are the things. So if you don't use the identification rules, see if there are no identification rules, if this image is not available, if this setup is not done, there is a chance there will be duplicates in the CMDB, right? Like this will be inserted through Altris, this will be inserted through ServiceNow, and this will be inserted through SSCM. So there is a duplicacy of records will be there for the same server record. So to avoid such situations, you have to implement the identification rule. The primary and the main use of identification rule is to avoid the duplications in the CMDB. Okay. And what else I have written? Yeah, that is this undesired updates to CI, and this would be covered in the reconciliation rules. So yeah, so the main purpose of identification rules is like to avoid the duplications in the CMDB, to have the correct accurate data. To maintain the accuracy of the CMDB, you will have to have the identification rules. And the reconciliation rules. What is reconciliation rules? So here, if you see in the above image as well, you are trying to import the same record through different data sources, ServiceNow, Altris, and SSCM. How do ServiceNow CMDB know through which data sources we have to update particular record and the particular attribute information? It also get confused, right? If you are trying to import the same record through multiple data sources, it will try to update each time when you are trying to import the data. Like if you are trying to discover this server through ServiceNow discovery, it will insert or update the record. Again, when you are trying to do the alters, it will again try to update it. When again after alters, if you are trying to do the integration through SSCM, it will try to update the record again. But it is not the best practice, right? Because you might be having so much of data mismatch might be available. Uh, because some information, some attributes which we are getting from the ServiceNow discovery is very accurate. Like whatever the discoverable attributes you are getting from the ServiceNow discovery, it is the most accurate information. But for the attributes which are not discoverable, you can put Altris or SSCM as a secondary option. So how do you define that in the ServiceNow CMDB? Uh, to update which attribute on which data source, that can be defined on the reconciliation rules. We will be setting the reconciliation rules now. Or else yeah, you can click on add. So assume that you are getting service now first. Priority 100. Click on next. Apply to all attributes. You can click on apply to all attributes. Then click next. Here, you can also select any condition. Only if this condition is met, you can perform this activity. But here, I'm not selecting any condition. You can just okay. Here, instead of this one, so did you got it? Like what I was trying to do? So for all the
Kinda.
attributes in the yeah, so we are trying to import the data through two different sources. First one is ServiceNow and the second one is Altris. For the first one, ServiceNow, I have gave the 100 as priority, and the second one we have gave the 200 as a priority. Here, ServiceNow discovery source will take the highest priority to update all the attributes. Even when you are trying to import the data through Altris for other attributes, it won't get updated. Only through ServiceNow discovery source, it will get updated for all the attributes. Okay. That is what I have selected for all the attributes. And again, but what, as I said, right, there are some specific attributes available where you cannot be updated it through the ServiceNow discovery because they are not being discoverable. So you have to update it through the other data sources here. Uh, Through Altris, I am updating this RAM. For the RAM itself, for the only RAM attribute, I am giving Altris as the highest attribute, highest permissions like 100. And for that attribute, ServiceNow is the second position, like 200 has the higher priority. So what happens is like when you're trying to update the RAM information in the ServiceNow CMDB, it will check with the discovery source if it is getting updated through the Altris or not. If it getting updated through Altris, it will update, or else no. Like I'll show you here the priority preview rule as well. So for all other attributes, see here, there are like around 113 attributes. The first priority to update all these attributes is ServiceNow. The second priority is Altris. But for the RAM itself, the first priority is Altris and the second priority is ServiceNow. Like suppose in the here in the previous here, if you see, we have like multiple sources like yeah, assume that you are trying to update the same information through ServiceNow and Altris. It will check. We have defined over for the RAM. It will check if it is getting updated through the Altris or not. If it getting updated through Altris, it will only update through the Altris itself, not through the ServiceNow.
So Altris is when you say ServiceNow, it's a discovery, right?
Yeah, ServiceNow is a
Okay.
discovery tool. Altris is a third-party tool where we have to do the integration, like SCCM itself, Sunil.
So now, if both Discovery and Altris have the same schedule, I mean, they're at the same time, right? At 12
Yeah.
a.m. in the morning, both of them come, it'll take the priority. Now, say
Mm,
suppose I put ServiceNow Discovery at 12 a.m. and which runs for 1 hour and completes the discovery. At
mm.
2 a.m. in the morning, I keep Altris. Now, how does this reconciliation work? Will it work based on priority, or how will it work if the schedule is also different then?
Yeah, it only works
Because
on the priority itself.
okay, so no, the first thing is, see, first priority it gives for discovery. It updates.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing is, the second wave is coming from Altris. There is no discovery coming in. There's no discovery update happening now. It's a Altris data which is coming in. So will it choose, since priority two is Altris, will it choose to update, or will it just say no, since service now is already done, we cannot do it now?
So you are saying,
Yeah, say suppose, see, there are a few fields already. You have to you have two reconciliation, right? One is for
yeah,
priority. One is service now. Priority two is Altris. Second one being Altris and the service now.
yes,
There
yes, yeah.
are two. One discovery is working at 12 a.m. in the morning. It finishes in 1 hour. At around 3 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
3 a.m., Altris starts updating the data. Now, in that case, how the reconciliation will work now?
So it basically it should ServiceNow will not be it won't ServiceNow discovery will not update the existing CMDB records. Only Altris records will be updated for that CMDB records.
But at 12 o'clock discovery runs, right? Your priority is service now is one priority, high priority. So it should ideally update first, right?
So in this case, if you are giving the highest priority as ServiceNow, see for example,
Okay.
you are okay. Let me clear this. Now there is this one for all the attributes you have defined the ServiceNow as the highest priority, Altris as a second priority. Okay. When you are
Mm-hmm.
trying to import the data first at the 12 a.m. through ServiceNow, it will update all the ServiceNow records itself.
Correct.
After 12 a.m. once the discovery schedules is run, after the CMDB is completely updated, once you run the Altris integration or Altris import, it won't update through the Altris itself. It will only update through the ServiceNow itself.
So anything given as priority two is not does not update the records, right?
Yes, yes, yeah, exactly.
But the question is, why do we even mention Altruis then? We shouldn't be mentioning, right? We can just give service now as a priority. That's it, right?
Yeah, I think there will be some difference of hours, or maybe it will check
Mhm.
for the some. I will check on this, Sunil,
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure.
on how much time difference it will update the both the data sources. So because if you
Mhm.
have another data sources, multiple data sources, three or four, then it might be a question, right? Like you have to
Correct.
get updated through. Yeah, I'm assuming that there will be a time difference would be there to clear this. Maybe after that it will check for the second thing, and also if you are running Altris after 1 day or a certain time period, it will update through the second priority data source as well.
Correct. Because for some of the CIs, discovery, like say, suppose it has 100 attributes to be updated. Now, first
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
50 is via service. Now we can make sure only those attributes are taken as service now.
yeah.
The rest can be another reconciliation rule. Only for those 50, it should be altruist. But mentioning a
Yes,
second priority doesn't make sense because only it I think it applies only when both of them work at the same time. Like 12 a.m., both the schedules run, it checks, I mean, both of the transactions are trying to update a record. It checks who is the first priority. ServiceNow should update it first. And then
yes, yes,
Altris gives a second update. But in that case, it doesn't make a sense, right? I mean, for one of the CI, you're getting the same thing from Discovery as well as same thing from Altris. Why unnecessary complicate that thing? You should ideally have only one reconciliation rule, one tool which does for certain attributes.
yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah, here also they are clearly mentioning it as a second priority, and
Correct,
it is
correct.
not it should it is not always will be the case like both of them will be running at the same time. Only ServiceNow will be allowing as a first priority, will be ignoring the Altris. I think there should be some connection between why it should be a second priority. I will check on this and I'll get back to you on that,
Yeah,
Sunil. Okay. Yeah, because what you're saying is very valid, because uh yeah, I will check on that and I'll get back to you. See here. Okay. Yeah, these are the data refresh rules. I think this will be specify when turns is, yeah. I will check on that and I'll let you know. I think here maybe we need to set. Okay. Yeah, because we have also discussed the reconciliation rules. I want to go with this and I'll complete it today. So for every class, I said, right, so ServiceNow already provides the CMDB suggested relationships actually. CMDB already suggest some relationship, but what happens is like when you are doing the cloud discovery or another some VMware or vCenter discovery, even then the ServiceNow provides the correct relationships, and the most of the relationships are provided by the ServiceNow. But if you don't want these relationships, like if your organizations are not discovering so many relationships, you can remove the existing relationships and you can add the new relationships as well. See, you can remove this one, edit suggested relationships, or you can create the new relationship. But this is in real time we have not yet done this one. Actually, we have not modified the existing relationships, or we have not created the exist new relationships as well. Whatever the service now has provided, we have gone with that itself. Because what happens is like when you do so much of customizations in the CMDB in the classes, you have to modify so many different things. If you just modify the relationships here, you have to modify the patterns in the discovery end. So it takes another step, and when you make the patterns customizable or the configurable, you have to maintain that at the updates, and when you are updating the service now updates, like from one version to another version, you have to maintain all these things. So it is not a best thing to customize so many things in the discovery and the CMDB area, because ServiceNow already provides most of the things. Nowadays, for every 6 months, they are giving you new releases. With the new releases itself, they are providing you so much information. So it is not advisable to do the customizations in the CMDB and discovery area. And deduplication task. So even though when we are talking about the identification rules and the reconciliation rules and this third party integrations, there is a always high chances that the duplication records will be getting created, because some of them some what happens is like some of the employees, they will be creating CMDB records manually. They will be without knowing knowledge on CMDB, because not the CMDB employees, the CMDB access will be given to some business stakeholders. They won't be having much knowledge on the CMDB. They will be creating the records manually. In such cases, the duplicate entries will be created mostly through the manual entries. Also, when the identification rules are not properly set, even then the duplication records will be created. So when the duplicate entries are created, you will be ServiceNow automatically creates the deduplication tasks where you can work on the deduplication tasks itself. Here the tasks will be created, but how do I show it to you now without the demo? Maybe I'll try to create some duplicate server. Yeah. So for this year, we have created the duplicate entry, right? For this, basically what ServiceNow does is like in the deduplication task, it will create a one deduplication task for each of the duplicate records. From there, we can remediate a deduplication task. Okay, it is not yeah, it is not generating now, but from here we need to remediate the deduplication task. We can either manually remediate the deduplication task, or if your organization wants to do some customization or some automatic way, we can build a workflow, and through the workflow also you can remediate the deduplication tasks. Yeah, this is what there is another thing. For the reclassification tasks are also, I think I have discussed it in the demo, I think a demo or the introduction. I said you right. Sometimes what happens is like The Windows Server class is classified as a server, and the server class is classified as classified in the hardware table. So for such type of issues, if it is not resolved through discovery or through integration, the reclassification task will also be getting generated. Through that, you will have to work on the reclassification task. Either you have to change the class of that particular CI, or you just need to upgrade it or the downgrade it to the respect related to that particular CI. For them, here the reclassification task will also get generated. Anything, any questions on the identification, reconciliation,
Yeah.
duplication,
So,
or this reclassification tasks?
so what's the process flow? I mean, like when a discovery runs, does it use the identification followed by reconciliation or reconciliation followed by identification?
First one, we call it as IRE engine,
Correct.
identification and the reconciliation. First, it will check
Reconciliation.
for the
Hmm.
IRE. First, it will check
Yeah.
whether the record which we are trying to insert into the CMDB, does it already have existing record in the CMDB or not. If it already have, it will check for the other data sources if the information is getting from any other data sources or not.
So,
First IRE
it's
and
like
then the reconciliation rules.
the first identification is that part is completed. It chooses whether it's going to be updating or creating records. Then it goes for the reconciliation, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then post that, the if there is duplicates found, then the deduplication task is created, right?
Yes, exactly.
But so until you resolve the deduplication tasks, the CI is not going to be created or updated, right, in the system.
No, no, no. It will be created. It will be there. The two duplicate entries will be there in the CMDB.
Okay. So if I post reconciliation, once the identification happens, reconciliation happens, it is going to create or update the record, but also create a deduplication task.
Exactly. Yes, yes, yeah.
But then, while remediating this deduplication task, if you feel that you have to reject, it's kind of a reject or approve, right? If you reject that old
No, no, no.
transition, which just happened.
No, it is not a approve or reject kind of task. You just have to
Correct.
what
Correct.
it
You
will
either
show is like it will ask us to merge the two existing records. We'll have two duplicate entries, right? For the same server.
correct.
Like here, you are able to see we have two servers. So it will give these two entries in this particular deduplication task. It will either ask us to merge the both of the records, or else it will ask us to delete one record and keep one record as is.
Okay. Keep one. So either the new record or the old record, keep it as it is.
Yes, yes, yeah. But
Okay.
in
So
most
then,
of the cases, what we do is like we merge the records, because in both of the
okay.
records, assume that in the first record you will be having some important information like OS version,
Correct.
CD speed, CPU, and in the second information you will be having CPU name and RAM. Okay, so you will be
Mhm.
merging the discoverable record with the other record actually. So you'll be combining
Okay.
all the information and you'll try to discover that record again.
Mhm. So in that, if you delete one of the record, there will be one. Okay, you either delete one of the record and keep the other record in the system. So
Yes,
is
yeah.
there this reconciliation? Sorry, the deduplication task. Is it like once we take action on those duplicates, do we have to delete the deduplication task, or is there a workflow
No,
for that also?
it is like incident problem change. Yeah, so once the
Okay, got it.
deduplication task is resolved, the task
Correct.
status is automatically gets it to closed.
Gets closed. Okay, okay. If that is done.
It
Okay,
is an
okay.
incident.
Got it.
Assume that it is an incident itself. In the task, you will have to see what are it will populate. I'll check if I can show it to you in the deduplication task in the real time scenario. It will
Sure.
give you uh, a task is generated. In the task, when you open the task, it will show you how what are the CIs are getting impacted, and how you can merge them, or how you can do manually or through the automation.
Okay.
So actually I thought to show it to you today, but I'll show it to you in tomorrow's session. Yesterday, in while trying to import, we have set the college field, right? College field as true. But what we can do is, like, when you're doing the third party integration, or when you're trying to do the import set through the identification and reconciliation, when you want these integrations or the import set need to validate it through the identification and the reconciliation rules, you have to enable this script. What it will do is, like, it will enable the identify and reconcile API. It will check on that particular table, and it will check whether the record is already there or not. And same again, the identification, the reconciliation rules, it will check, and it will update the record or insert the record.
Is it done when doing a manual uploads or via the
Yeah,
discovery
through
also?
manual uploads also. In the yesterday's
Mhm.
session, I have showed you some transform scripts, right?
Correct, correct, correct.
Over there, you have to enable this script, this
Okay.
API. You have to trigger this API in the transform script.
Ideally, it should be before or
It's before.
before. Okay.
Yeah, because if you select the after,
Correct.
the
It doesn't make
processing will
sense.
almost everything is done, right? You have to
Correct,
do it before the transform app is getting run.
correct. Got it.
Yeah, I'll try to create couple of examples using this. I'll check it today, and I'll check for the deduplication tasks as well. We can discuss this and deduplication task in tomorrow's class.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Also, if time permits, we can check the health dashboard also in tomorrow's session, and we can close CMDB tomorrow. Because this is the primary setup for the CMDB. Going forward, when we are doing the discovery, if you have any queries related to CMDB or discovery, we can look at there. But this is the primary setup we will do for the CMDB.
Okay.
Any questions today?